Computer. Awesome. Technology is great. Okay, guys, for those just joining us or logging in, my name is Kim Bingham. I am the coach at the head of the Lioness Lovelies team. And if you're here, you're either on somewhere in my downline or you were invited here by someone because you're interested in joining LuLaRoe. So what we're going to do tonight is I'll quickly kind of tell you how I got started with LuLaRoe, and then two of my amazing teammates will just give you a quick synopsis of their experience to kind of give you guys a little bit more of an idea of what to expect and, you know, kind of what kind of team and what organization you're joining. At any time, there is a little chat bar. You can ask us questions, and we will try to answer them as quickly as we can. And then we'll open it up to a little Q&A at the end for anyone who has any questions. So quickly, just me. Again, I'm Kim Bingham. I'm out of Newburyport, Massachusetts, and I've been with LuLaRoe since August of 2015. And I found LuLaRoe after a friend of mine invited me to an online party, and it was like 9 months after I had my second son, and I wasn't thrilled with kind of, you know, what I was looking like and what my life was like at that point. And LuLaRoe gave me a little bit of light. And at that time, I was working in television news as an executive producer, and it wasn't my intention when I first started LuLaRoe to ever quit my job. I was a total news junkie and I was going to stay with it. But as I had two kids and severe postpartum depression, LuLaRoe, I started looking into it as kind of something to lift my spirits. And I really liked what the company was all about family, about strengthening lives, a lot about blessing lives, about strengthening families, all of that. It really spoke to me. So I joined up in August of 2015, and I kind of never thought I'd grow a team, and all of a sudden a few of my friends started approaching me, and voila, this is our team now. And it's really been an amazing roller coaster ride, but one of the best ever. Again, I never thought I'd quit my job, but in October of 2016, that's exactly what I did. Somewhere along the way, I realized I wanted to put my kids to bed at night. And I wasn't getting that working TV news. I was working 12, 13, 14 hours a day with a 2-hour commute, almost never seeing my kids. And this turned into such a crazy, worthwhile endeavor for me that I was able to walk away from my job once my contract was up. And now myself and my husband both do LuLaRoe for full time together as a family. And it's been a wild and amazing ride. Most of all I could say with LuLaRoe is that it has changed the kind of person I am. I was someone who, I wasn't like a glass half empty type person per se, but I definitely had that tendency where joining LuLaRoe has made me a more positive, confident person. And one of my, favorite things to do is instill that confidence in a lot of my teammates and help them grow their businesses now, like I grew mine. Again, I will never sugarcoat it. It's a lot of hard work. It can be whatever but the coolest thing about it is it's whatever your goals are. So, for me, my goal suddenly became, selling a good amount so I could quit my full-time job. That may not be your goal. You may just want to pay for daycare. You may want to take your kids on a vacation. You may want to put some in savings. May want to pay off a car. Whatever your goals are, that's what LuLaRoe is all about. And what our team does is we try to support each other in reaching those goals and really, putting our arms around them. Some people really want to sell massive amounts a month and quit their full-time jobs. Not every person's like that. And so what LuLaRoe is what you want it to be. We always say, you don't work for LuLaRoe, LuLaRoe works for you. And what we can do when, if you decide to join our team or sign on is help you come up with a plan to reach those sales goals and kind of help you out along the way. Having this team has been like the greatest blessing in my life. They are wonderful. It's supportive. We have a really good time. And, I can't say enough about what it's done for me. But again, it is a lot of hard work, and we can talk a little bit about that tonight. I want to kind of throw it over, because you guys don't need to hear from me all the time, to Sam. Sam actually works full-time and does LuLaRoe. So for you guys who work full time, it is totally possible. I did it for over a year, and it takes some careful planning and scheduling, which both Sam and probably Jamie will talk to you about tonight, about kind of keeping sane and doing this while working, if that's what you're doing. So Sam, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, guys. So my name is Sam Soloway. I have been a LuLaRoe consultant for 1 year and 4 days. Exciting. I live in Burlington, Massachusetts, with my husband, whose name is Ben, and I have a almost 2-year-old daughter. She's adorable and crazy. And like I said, I've been doing LuLaRoe for a little over a year. I also work full time. I am a consultant in life sciences, so I work full time. And yes, so I joined. So my LuLaRoe story started very similarly to Kimmy's. My daughter was 6 months old, and I was back to work. I was in this rut of like, my maternity clothes don't fit, and my old clothes don't fit, and I hate everything, and life is terrible, and I don't want to get dressed in the morning. So my friend Rachel was like, hey, my friend has these clothes, so you should check them out. And I was like, okay. So I joined Kimmy's group, and I'm not gonna lie, I was like super overwhelmed at the beginning. I was like, what is this? What's going on? Something is happening. But I got my first dresses, my first pair of leggings, and I knew that this was something special. So I think I approached Kimmy about joining in so this was October of 2015, and I must have approached you in November. It was really fast. And I stewed over it for months. And I ended up putting my papers in the middle of February, and it was right at the beginning when things started to get a lot busier. And I onboarded March 31st of last year. So here we are. It's a year later, and LuLaRoe has really just been, again, I mean, I'm going to repeat what Kimmy says, but it's really been a light in my life. I previously, at my previous job, I had been laid off before I was pregnant, and that was a really uncertain time for us. And then after when my daughter was 3 months old, my husband was laid off. So we had single income where, kind of we're perfectly fine and making things work. But, we wanted a situation where we could feel comfortable. And so when I never thought of direct sales, it was just not something that I had ever thought of before. And I literally could not stop thinking about LuLaRoe. I was losing sleep about it, thinking about how I would book pop-ups and how I would market things and who I would reach out to. And it got to the point where it was consuming my life in a good way. And so finally I was like, you know what, we're going to do this. And I tell people it's one of the best decisions I've made. And it's not oh, let's throw everything up and it's super easy and you'll be able to do whatever, sitting on the couch. It's a lot of work, but it's doable, and it's fun, and it's rewarding. And if you do it the way that LuLaRoe kind of intended it to be, these in-person, one-on-one building relationships, it can be magical, and it changes how it's changed my output. It's really my outlook. It's changed my output too, but it's mostly changed my outlook. It's really changed my outlook on things. And I really find myself being a lot more positive, a lot more understanding. And I like getting dressed every day, and I get dressed every day. I work from home a lot, and I get dressed every single day, and I put makeup on. I put makeup on half of the days. But I care about the way that I present myself. And I'm not saying that that's a necessity for everybody, but it's really made me feel like I have control over myself. I've been pretty successful. I have a small team. But LuLaRoe is really it's just been a blessing to my life. And it's really helped us to be more comfortable. And my husband is an amazing teacher, and it's allowed him to not think about the financial piece of his job as much. So he has the opportunity to just be amazing, and the kids love him, and we don't feel like we need to change things up because of LuLaRoe. And so like I said, I work full time. I have my schedule is not as strict as Jamie's schedule. She's like amazing, and I actually wish that I was more like her. But I do have a schedule. I use a lot of tools that make my life easier. I pre-schedule things to post to Facebook. And if there was one thing that if there's one piece of wisdom that I can impart to anybody who is planning on joining or is in the queue, I know I see one person at least who's definitely in the queue, it's don't be afraid to ask for help. My mom helps me out. She's retired and she's like my right-hand man. If anybody's in my VIP group, you know her because she's there all the time. She's super helpful, and she's, that little like nagging voice in my ear. But it doesn't have to be a family member. I also have I have customers and friends who really like LuLaRoe who I say, I need to do an hour of photographs tonight and I could use some help. Do you want to come over? I'll give you a pair of leggings. And it's okay to ask for help. So that's my little dig there. So Kimmy, what else do you want me to?
No, I think you're good. I'll toss it over, since you already mentioned her. We'll toss it over to Jamie Cannon, where myself and Sam have been in this for over a year. Jamie is in her first 6 months with LuLaRoe, so she can give you kind of a good idea of what it's like to start off, to have that initial inventory, and how she's grown her business into like phenomenal sales in just a short period of time. And she has an awesome outlook on this business, and I absolutely love her. So Jamie, go on ahead, love.
I love you guys too. I'm Jamie Cannon, and obviously I'm Southern. I live in Alabama, and my LuLaRoe story is the exact same timeline as Kimmy's, because we went to our very first LuLaRoe pop-up on Facebook together and gushed over our outfits when we got it, but Kimmy was braver than me because she took the leap then, and I waited 2 more years. 2 more years. But when I got invited to that Facebook party, I was 5 or 6 months pregnant with Emma, who y'all just saw sitting in my lap before we started. And she was my 3rd baby. All of my babies have been large. My first was 11 pounds. My second was 10, and Emma was 9-13. And so when I say that I was all belly, I was all belly. And I remember ordering that pair of leggings because the consultant told me they were great for pregnancy. And they came, this says my internet's unstable. It's kind of bad weather here, so sorry if I go out. But that pair of leggings came, and I thought, there is no way that is going to stretch over this belly. But I put it on, and it was the most comfortable I had been like in 5 years since my first son was born. And so I quickly ordered, 10, 20 more pieces. And then Kimmy said she was going to start selling. And so I was very active in Kimmy's group at the beginning. And I still kind of am active in there, actually. But by then, my husband got a promotion. He was commuting 2 hours each way. We were trying to sell our house, and I had 3 kids. So I knew that I didn't have the time to dedicate to this. And I knew that if I was going to do it, I was going to go all in. So fast forward a year later, we moved, and I really wanted to stay home. I worked as a nurse practitioner for an intensivist, which is seeing all the patients in the ICU. Very busy, very high stress. And I just felt like I gave and gave and gave at work, and I would get home and I would have nothing else to give. And I had a husband and 3 kids, and they needed me to give at home, and I just couldn't. So I had been wanting to stay at home for a while, and when we moved, I decided to take a year off. And that's when I PM'd Kimmy out of the blue and said, hey, I want to do this. And I talked to Kimmy for a long time because my husband, he wasn't not on board, but he wasn't, yeah, you should totally do it. So I asked Kimmy about 8,000 questions, and then I kind of signed up without telling him all the way. I mean, not really. I told him, but I mean, I don't know. I just kind of didn't give him all the details till he was on board. So I onboarded right before Labor Day, and I launched the week before Labor Day. And I don't really know how to describe how I felt during my launch. It just felt really good that I could start something with about 100 women, half of which had never heard of LuLaRoe, didn't know anything about it. And then 2 weeks later, when I got my inventory and I got it all photographed, that they were like, oh, this is great. I believe you. I want to try it. And now my group is at 600 women. I have a small team. I do pretty well in sales. I mean, I'm not like, one of these massive retailers, but I don't want to do that. Mainly because, like I said, I have 3 small children. They're 6, 4, and 18 months. And I want to be present here with them. And to do those kind of sales, I would need to give some of that time up. And that's just not something I want to do. So I don't push my business to be like that. That being said, I do a lot of in-home events. I try to schedule them all on the same weekend. And I do a fair amount of online pop-ups, which have been fairly successful for me as well. I am very OCD about my schedule. If I had known we were going to talk about this part, I would have gotten out my color-coded planner to show y'all. But I have all of my kids have a color. My husband has a color. LuLaRoe has a color, and it's all written out. And when you first start, the biggest thing, it costs, we all know about the investment, and that can be scary. But the time commitment that you have to invest at the beginning to make it be successful is a little scarier, in my opinion, than the financial aspect, because everyone has stuff that they're doing. We all have families. We all have things. Some of us work, some of us don't, but we all have things that we want to contribute to. And it's super hard to say, this is what I want to do, but I'm not going to do it because I want to do this and grow my business. And that part at the front is the most challenging part, in my opinion. But if you sit down and you make goals and you decide when you're going to work and when you're going to be off, it is so much easier to not fall into that trap. So I decided fairly early on that I was not willing to dedicate more than 2 hours a day to working my business. And then I realized that that wasn't realistic, that there was going to have to be one day a week where I did longer than that. So currently I put in 2 hours a day. And then on a Thursday night, I put in about maybe 4 or 5, sometimes 6 hours, just depending on how much I have to do. And that's just in doing all the online part and the shipping and the photographing part. And I do 2 to 4 in-home events a month. I try to do them all on the same weekend because I have a kids' soccer event or something, but I like to do them all on the same weekend so that once they're over, and I only have to do all the work of packing and unpacking once, in theory. But what I really like about it is the girl, my teammate, who's not on here tonight because she is actually doing an in-home pop-up in the crazy weather. She loves the in-home part, and her kids are a little older, so she does a lot more in-home and hardly any online, and she does great. And she's been a consultant for not even 2 months, and she does great. So what I love about LuLaRoe is that you can totally decide how much you're going to put in, and now you can get out as much as you put into it. So the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And if you are wanting this as a supplement, you don't have to be one of these consultants that's doing 20, 40, 50 hours a week. You can do 10 hours a week, and you can still get some financial relief, some financial stability out of that. The other thing I really like about LuLaRoe is I feel like I'm not competitive with other consultants, whereas I have lots of friends that sell different products, and I'm very loyal to them. They're my friends, I mean, I have that consultant for that company, and I don't really shop with another consultant because then I kind of feel disloyal to them. And I really like that because we all have different inventory, I don't feel that competition. So I'm in Kimmy's group, I'm in Sam's group, I'm in several other groups because I still shop. But I like that aspect. I like that you can come into it and say, oh, well, I don't carry Lola, so you need to go look in Kimmy's group. She carries it. She'll be really great to you. You'll love her. And I really like that someone else can be like, oh, I didn't get the Mommy and Me, Carly and Scarlett's, but Jamie did. You should go look in her group. And, both of those have happened. So I really like that part. And I feel like this is something that fulfills me. It helps me look at something I've created and see how it's grown. And it just makes me proud. And then on top of that, I really enjoy it. So it's a win-win-win for me. And I think that's all I have to say.
It's a good perspective to hear from Jamie, because she is very regimented about her schedule. And I think it's important that if you're walking into this and you only have a limited amount of time, to know that that's something you need to work on going into this. As we all know, it's not a light investment to make. You're talking to, $5,000 to $6,000 just for the initial inventory, but then you do need money on top of that. You need money to grow your inventory, to reorder, for shipping, for supplies, that kind of stuff. So remember that when you're considering making the opportunity of going in, that to factor those costs in. But the nice thing about LuLaRoe is that if you put the time and the effort in, you're going to make that money back. I'm not going to say quickly, because everyone has a different timeline. Everyone has a different schedule, but your potential is there. I think most of us would say that if you're looking to really do great numbers in this business, you need an in-home and you need an online component. You need to do both. They feed into each other. One kind of, if you want to get one really going, you got to do the other. But the great part is that you can schedule that to your time, the weekends you have open, the nights you have open. When I was working full time, 60 hours a week and doing this, I would stay up late and fit it in here and there. But the biggest thing was that I made sure that I, did it on times where I wasn't interfering with family time and stuff like that. And that's the great part about LuLaRoe. I think we can all agree that we've, found a little something for ourselves in this business. It's also great that the company is so supportive of its retailers. They do great, huge fundraising campaigns. They support us doing fundraisers for different organizations and people in our community. There's a huge community aspect to all of this. LuLaRoe really wants to, again, bless lives and strengthen families. So they, push us to be giving and open and, great with our customers, so we can spread that kind of love all over the place. For those of you who are, considering the opportunity, does anyone have any questions for us tonight, or stuff you want to know about possibly joining? You can always unmute yourself. Usually there's a little button that says unmute, or type in the chat bar next to the screen there. Does anyone have any questions? And if you're on and you haven't joined up yet, is there anything that's holding you back that you're wondering about, or maybe that's standing in your way right now, or that you have to think about? As I think we've all said, the time commitment is large. Not large enough that it can't be done as part-time. Your goals are your goals, and that's what we help everyone try to reach. I think they say the average retailer does, the company-wide average is $4,500 in sales per month. That is the company average. Obviously, there's a lot of people doing a lot more than that, and there's people doing, $1,000 to $2,000 a month. And if that works for them, that's what works for them. But the average is around $4,500 a month if you're working your business pretty much part-time. Let's see, some questions. I was reading over some of the paperwork. It mentioned we need to get approval to do different events. Yes, so you have to have approval to do vendor events, which are festivals, which are different fairs or vendor events, and that's simple as sending an email. And you'll email in advance of your event, and they will give you the okay to do those kind of things.
I can take that one.
Yep, go ahead.
So the question is, did everybody here take money out of savings to pay the initial cost? So personally, what I did is I opened a no interest credit card. So it was 15 months no interest credit card, and I used that to purchase my initial inventory and to build my inventory. So what it did is it allowed me to reinvest everything that I had made back into my business, which is what I did for about the first 4 to 6 months. So just to put it in perspective, I started, my first initial order was 300 pieces, and I currently have 1,400 pieces in my inventory. What? And so by the time I had paid off my initial investment, I had already like doubled my inventory. So I opened a no interest credit card. It's 15 months, no interest. So you pay back and you don't pay interest on it. So what it did for me is it gave me the flexibility to get started, to purchase some of the supplies. I will say that you don't need, I'm going to give you like a quick little tour of my disaster of a Lulu room. You do not need to have like anything fancy. It's just my basement with some racks. There's like stuff on the floor, the bags that I just recently unpacked. And this is like my office. I have a desk and everything. Okay. So the credit card allowed me to like purchase the racks and purchase the hangers. And like, I literally have hangers on Subscribe and Save because I go through so many, but that's besides the point. So that's what I did. Yeah.
Jamie,
and so
what did you do?
What?
I was going to ask Jamie what she did.
I also did an interest-free credit card, but I have a little different situation than Sam did. I did interest-free for 21 months, and I opened that card when I went into the queue, and I just paid it off this week, actually, from all my onboarding costs, which was like a really big deal for me. Thank you. But I didn't reinvest 100%, even though that is what is actually recommended. One second. Are you going to bed, Sean?
So I'm just going to comment on the conversation that's happening on the side. So there are different interest-free credit cards. If you do a quick Google search, you should be able to get to like a page that gives you comparison rates. Typically, no interest credit cards are 12 to 21 months, depending on the company that you're working with. And you can just call your bank or just do a little Google search. I think mine was a Chase Freedom card, but I know that there are a lot of different options out there.
Yeah, and if it's not an option for you, for some people it's not.
Mm-hmm.
There's people on the team who have always worked in all cash, who saved it up or took it out of savings to make the initial investment. I would say always plan on having a little bit above the initial onboarding cost for those things like supplies and shipping and different programs to make your life easier. The key is that we always suggest reinvesting as much as you can into your business the first 6 months, because that will allow you to grow and see profit margins grow faster. But you can do this all at your own speed as well. Some people have taken out loans. Some people have taken out of savings and paid themselves back. I also did the no interest credit card for 18 months or something like that to be able to pay off my initial investment and grow my inventory at the same time for the first 6 months I was in. So there's a whole lot of different ways that you can take it. It all depends on your financial situation and what you're comfortable with too.
Sorry, my oldest son's going to bed. What I was saying is I did not invest 100% because I needed to pay myself up front to continue to stay at home. So I did pay myself kind of each month while still paying off on some of the balance and still reinvesting. Can't really give you a percentage because it really varied month to month. Our air conditioner went out right before Christmas, which in Alabama, that's a year-round thing, and that's a huge cost. Then we had 3 kids that we did Christmas for. So there was kind of some months where there was a lot of expenses and I really had to pay myself more and not really reinvest as much. However, that being said, I started out with 400 and something pieces and I am at 800 pieces. So I still managed to pay off that, pay myself a fair chunk during those 6 months and pay off my initial investment. So, and that's one thing that I really like about not just Kimmy's team, but our broader team, is that there is someone, whatever your situation is, you're a single mom, you're single income, you get laid off, you work 2 full-time jobs and want to do this on the side, you travel for work and you're hardly ever home. Like, there is someone else on this team somewhere that is in that exact same situation as you, that has done this a little longer, and that can really, really kind of give you what worked for them. So while I think everyone on this team is fantastic, not every team is that way. And there's a lot of teams that kind of tell you, oh yeah, everything sells itself. You don't have to worry. You're going to pay yourself back. But you do have to kind of worry and kind of work some to be able to pay yourself back for it. And this team really helps you figure out, how much should I set aside for taxes? How do I figure out taxes for things like giveaway items? How do you keep track of your inventory and what are you making from it? Everyone keeps track of their inventory differently. I just use pictures on my laptop. I'm pretty sure Sam and Kimmy use a program called Shop the Row that I don't use just because I don't like change, and I have my system and I'm good with it.
Well, the good news now, too, in terms of your inventory, inventory photos and stuff like that, yes, I use Shop the Row to manage my inventory, but also our new point of sale system, Bless, it also technically keeps track of your numbers of inventory because it's a closed circuit system, and everyone who onboards now will go into the new Bless in most cases, and actually in all cases. So therefore, you kind of as long as you keep your numbers right in there, technically that will manage your numbers. When it comes to tracking sales and stuff like that like any small business owner, that stuff is on you. So a lot of people use spreadsheets. Some of us have a bookkeeping service. Some of us it all kind of depends on what exactly you want to do or how organized you are. LuLaRoe does keep in its computer system, you get an end of the year report that shows sales and what you bought from the company, but stuff like expenses and that kind of stuff, that's all on you guys to keep track of. And so whatever method works great for you. Some people use QuickBooks. It just depends on the system that you like the best.
Yeah, this is a real business. I know Kimmy says this all the time. Did I say it or did you? I don't remember. This is not a $99 business in a box. This is not, spend $99, get $300 worth of products, sell it if you want, don't sell it if you don't want. This is a real business. If you're in this to get free clothes and have first pick, maybe it's not the right choice for you. But if you're in this to really make a difference in your own life and to make a difference in other people's lives and to change people's lives, I know it's super duper cheesy, but then it is for you. And it's a hard business, but it's for anybody who's a fan of League of Their Own, the hard is what makes it great. And that if it wasn't hard, everyone would do it.
100%. And I think that Sam makes an awesome point there, is that this is, it's a simple business. You buy at wholesale, you sell at retail. And the simpler you treat your business, especially working the in-home part of it, the more rewarding it gets. I've met so many amazing people through here. It's awesome. Tallying up startup costs, how much you make through items. So startup costs are, the initial order packages range from $5,000 to $7,000, depending on what you pick. I always tell people, I think, Sam, $500 to $800 to $1,000 after that for supplies, shipping, that kind of stuff is a good buffer to have.
Better to overestimate than underestimate.
Exactly. And then how much you make per item sold. Our profit margin's about 50% on most items. Some are higher, some are a little bit lower. Leggings, the real popular one, is actually a lower profit margin than the other items like our Sarah or our Amelia. The higher cost items give you a larger profit margin. Now you realize you make the 50% profit or so off the item, and then you have to make sure you put aside some of that for taxes too. So depending on your tax situation, you need to put aside a chunk of your profit for that to make sure that you're paying that. LuLaRoe does take care of your sales tax for you. They pay that off to the states. You have to keep track of what you're making for your own income taxes. That's the two things when it comes down to taxes and what you should be looking out for.
And there are some diagrams around of like 50% back into your inventory, 50% of what's remaining in for taxes. But like the best advice that I'm going to say any of us are going to give is to talk to a tax professional.
Yep. Just know that you have to track your own income tax going into it. And that way you do have to kind of keep track of your sales and what you're bringing in. So you make sure you do that accurately along the way. You can start this up with not much more other than like shipping and racks and stuff to transport your inventory. People do this really cheaply. Like if you're actually working in person a lot, you don't need that much. You don't need an expensive Lula room. You don't need, I'm finally making a Lula room. I've lived out of like a corner of my house for almost 2 years now. So you don't need like a bunch of fancy stuff. You basically need a will to work and a love for the product. And really you can go
hangers. You need hangers.
You do need hangers. You need a lot of hangers.
A lot of hangers.
I will say about the startup cost. I really didn't spend that much over the initial inventory. I mean, no, racks and hangers are not supplied. You get your own. I went to Bed Bath & Beyond and bought 2 racks and went to Costco and bought hangers and then ordered some poly mailers off of Amazon and spent like $200 on all of that. And that was all I bought other than my initial inventory. Now, as I've grown, I have bought some things to just kind of make life easier on myself, like a certain type of printer and a postage scale, things like that. But starting out, you certainly don't have to do all that. And, not people, but a lot of consultants use a lot of subscription services. I didn't use any of that when I first started out just because I knew I was having to pay myself. So I wanted to keep my miscellaneous costs as low as possible. When I talked to my tax person, who at the time was my sister, she kind of looked at things and she told me how much to set aside for taxes. And then I set aside 2% over that because I would rather have more than not enough. And then when I moved on and paid someone to do our taxes because it was too much for my sister, we actually had saved more than we owed. So it was kind of like we got a bonus on top of that. So, I mean, there are ways that you can work this where you're not spending $500 to $1,000. And I would show you on my Lula room, but it's downstairs in my garage. I mean, it's not finished. It's unfinished. It's cinder block walls and some wood beams. There's no rugs, no paint. There's one light bulb, and that's where I work. And it does just fine for me. And you don't have to kind of make extra costs for you. If you're worried about the initial cost, you focus on your inventory costs, focus on getting started, and you can always add the other stuff as you go. You don't have to go all in.
Yeah, 100%. So racks and hangers, that kind of stuff are not supplied. You can get them very cheaply. Sometimes places that are going out of business will give you hangers for free, that kind of thing. So you have to work those costs in. Answering Kim's question about sales, we discourage running sales and specials. You are not allowed to advertise lower prices online. That is something we have a policy called MAP, which is minimum advertised price, meaning online you cannot advertise a price that is lower than what that price is set at by LuLaRoe. In person, you can reward your loyal customers with discounts and coupons. But online, we encourage, and LuLaRoe encourages, to keep to and selling at minimum advertised price. And here's why. The reason why is, number one, you don't want to be undercutting your fellow consultant who is selling at full price. And also, it trains your customers to expect a sale. So if your customers are always expecting a sale, then they're just going to wait for your items to go on sale instead of buying with you at all the time. So we are, required online to only sell at minimum advertised price. You cannot advertise a price lower than that. You can always, again, offer your loyal customers like one-on-one, some kind of loyalty credit or discount or something like that, but you can only sell for what LuLaRoe puts out as minimum advertised price online. In person, there's a little bit more of a range, but I always encourage people to sell at MAP in person as well, because again, we sell high quality product, and in the end, the only person that you're kind of cheating when it comes to discounting is yourself out of the profit margin that's involved. We find creative ways to move stuff that hasn't moved in a while all the time, and that's one thing that our team is great at, coming up different ways to do that.
And this isn't, so the prices that are the minimum advertised prices, they're not arbitrary prices. They're based on the amount of money and the amount of time that's going into developing these products, developing the prints, and making them. There are real people who are being paid a living wage in a clean factory to make these clothes. And we really, I always encourage people that, like, when there's a question about price, that's my first response. Like, this is a sustainable, good, high quality, fair labor work environment, which a lot, like, if somebody comes to you and says, well, I can buy this for $5 at Walmart. Okay. But like, do you know the working conditions of the people who are making that garment? You don't. You do. And you don't want to think about it because it's probably not so great. We have leaders who have visited the factories that our garments are made in, and they've showed us videos, and it's amazing. They are fairly paid, and they are working in high quality environments. And like, for me personally, that's really, really important. And it's something that I share with my group very often, because that's where, and like these prints that we're making, they're unique to LuLaRoe. LuLaRoe, what was that the guy from My Dyer said? That LuLaRoe has like the largest library of prints of anybody, anywhere, literally anywhere. We have the most unique prints from anywhere. And so these are all made in-house, and their styling and sizing. So another fun fact that I like to share with people is that LuLaRoe sizes every size. So most other companies, they'll size the medium and then they'll scale it up and scale it down. But LuLaRoe sizes the extra, extra small on an extra, extra small model, and the 3XL on a 3XL model, which is one of the reasons that it fits such a wide range of sizes. So these are all the kinds of things that we really encourage people to share with their customers, so that the customers really see the value, because there is a value. And just because something's not moving for now doesn't mean that it's not going to move later. We were having a conversation on our team about maxi skirts, and somebody was saying, well, the maxi skirts aren't moving for me because it's winter. Like, I remember when I onboarded last year, like, I had maxi skirts, but like once May hit, they were like flying out of, like, flying. And so, and every time you have a pop-up, you have new eyes on your products. And the people who are looking at it, they don't know if it's been there for a day, a year, or a year. So if you're thinking that things aren't moving, then instead of trying to discount and trying to push them out the door, figure out ways to get new people to look at what you have.
That is so true.
And now I'll step off my soapbox.
And
now you're looking for
about sales is you don't make any money if you put it on sales. Yes, we all love LuLaRoe. They are a wonderful company to be a part of. You go to Guatemala, which is where the factory was toward. Those workers are offered overtime. They're offered paid holidays. I was a nurse practitioner, and I did not get paid overtime. So, there's something to be said about that. But we're also all consultants because we want to make some money in this. And if you put things on sale, you do not make money. Mm-hmm. And those consultants that you see putting things on sale consistently, a few months later, you will see them going out of business. And it is because they cannot pay bills. They cannot pay themselves back because they discounted everything and made no money. And it's not worth your time to put it on sale to just make a couple of bucks after you set aside for income taxes and replace your inventory that you sold. It's just silly.
Mel, you were asking about books too. I think the ones we always recommend is to read The Power of Ted. These are more mindset books. The Power of Ted and The Go-Giver, if you read those, it will help you adjust your mindset of how to look at your business. They literally are life-changing. They definitely
They are.
change your life.
The Power of Ted, I actually have recommended it to other friends who are like not LuLaRoe. It's about changing the way that you perceive, basically the way you perceive yourself in the world. And like, that going from a victim mentality of like the world is out to get me to like this creator mentality of I'm making my opportunities and I am in charge of myself. And it's like when my husband was having a tough time, I was like, please read this book and then talk to me because I can't even talk to you until you read it.
It's a really good, If You Can Count to 4 is another one that we suggest, that it actually changed the way Mark and Deanne did business. So it's another one you put on your list. But those are a couple of the ones. And Mel, I can also, I think you're in the waiting room group for those interested. I think I can, I'll post a couple recommendations in there because we have a long list of ones that we suggest people read. And I think the basic thing is to treat it like a business. You have to set hours. You have to work at it. And you have to think about it in terms of business. It's not personal, a lot of things. I mean, it's personal, but a lot of it is business as well. You guys were asking about how shipping to someone works. Most of us have a shipping program like stamps.com, ShipStation, Shipping Easy. They're all subscription fee based per month services, but you get a discounted postal rate. So basically someone pays their invoice, I get a receipt, I take their address, I pop it into the shipping program and print out a label and out it goes. Everyone does this differently. When you start off, like a lot of us have fancy label printers. We did that after a period of time because it made sense. They make life easier, but you don't need it when you start. You can print labels off your normal computer and you can paste them on. You can handwrite them if you want. I had friends who had huge businesses and wrote them for a really long time.
And they brought it to the post office to get weighed.
Yeah, you basically need poly mailers, which are what we send our first class mail in, and then priority padded flat rate mailers and priority flat rate boxes. Those are like the 3 things I use to ship everything pretty much. You know, it's not a hard process. Your sponsor can always walk you through exactly how they do it, and then you can kind of find the best way to do it for yourself.
You can make it as simple or as complicated as you want. You can do it as simply as getting free bubble mailers from the post office and handwriting every label. But the good thing about it is we have all of our products on hand. There's no ordering anything online. When a customer wants something, you have it in your hands and you can ship it next day, as long as the next day isn't Sunday.
Yeah, which is awesome. Geraldine, the mannequin is not supplied. Not actually everyone. You don't even necessarily need one. You can hang the product on the back of a door and take a picture. Basically, the only thing that's supplied in the beginning is your initial inventory. You will get a welcome kit that has usually some shopping bags and some like a planner and a LuLaRoe planner and like style tags for your racks. But those, that's basically all that's supplied. The rest is on you and deciding how you guys want to photograph with that. I photograph stuff on a hook for months before I got a mannequin. Some people just get a white flat board and do flat lays with their, like pretty looking flat lays with their inventory. And you can get one of those at Walmart for like $1.50. So you definitely don't need one. A lot of us have one, but you can find them fairly cheaply online at a Hobby Lobby and stuff like that.
Amazon.
Business cards, you can order them from LuLaRoe. You can use the templates that are in our back office and our graphics like area in our back office, and you can use those to customize those and send them to Vistaprint or print them at Staples, however works for you. LuLaRoe does offer a custom website that does signs and cards and banners and that kind of stuff. But basically, you can also just download the template, fill in your stuff, and print it however you want as well. But again, it's like a lot of people worry about the startup supplies and stuff like that. As long as you have business cards, you have an idea of where you're going to take some pictures, and you have some ways to transport all the clothes, whether it's in big bags. A lot of us use the IKEA bags, which are like 99 cents or something like that at IKEA. Those are great. I have those.
There's LuLaRoe bags, and they're amazing.
The LuLaRoe bags are a little bit more expensive, but they definitely hold more, and I definitely like them much better. I use a lighting kit to take pictures. You don't have to have a lighting kit to take pictures. You can do it in natural light or with the lights around your house. It just depends.
You don't need to take pictures. You can have a business that's entirely in-home if that's what you want to do.
Yep. or you can have a business that's entirely live too. You don't have to take pictures. You could do it that way too. Some people just make money off of live sales. I use an actual camera to take pictures, but a lot of us take pictures with their, Sam, you take pictures with
I use my phone. I have like a stand. I bought a tripod for my phone, and I use a clicker, and I take pictures on my phone, transfer them to my computer, and delete them off my phone.
Yep. So it's all about what works. If you really want to be in this business, don't let like the supplies or getting the fancy lighting kits or backgrounds or whatever do that. Most of us started off with simple things, and then we upgraded as we started making money in this business. There's a lot of people out there who like have their fancy rooms and fancy equipment. You don't need that. You basically need a will to work and some ideas on how to work around it, and you can definitely make this successful.
And when you're thinking about, this is one of the things that I I wish that I had known this before. When you are thinking of where you want to store your items, don't plan for just the things that you're ordering from your initial inventory. You need, like, I've seen pictures of people who have Lula rooms and it's like full after their initial inventory. And I'm just like, aw, you're not going to have any space. Like, I have right now a double rack, a single rack, a full closet, hanging bags for leggings, 4 bins for other leggings, and like another set of, oh my God, I have so many leggings, and then another drawer of leggings. Like, plan for this to be a business that's going to grow. Don't plan for this to be a business that you take a picture of and post on social media.
100%. Definitely work on the in-person, because that will definitely fuel the online as well. Most of my best online customers are people I've met in person or their friends, which is awesome. If you guys don't have any other,
I was just gonna say, don't let space scare you though.
No.
You don't need 8 racks in a whole room to do it. I have a girl in my downline who does everything out of plastic tubs that she stacks in a corner in her bedroom, and she puts everything back in the tub when she's not working with it. So, and she makes it work, and it works for her. So you can do it with as much or as little space as you have available to you.
Yeah, and we have girls in all different kinds of space situations on our team too that can help you figure out that as well. So ladies, if you guys don't have any other questions, and if you do, always feel free. You can reach out to me on Facebook. You can reach out to any of the ladies here. And obviously your first line is whoever invited you here tonight or your potential sponsor. We love answering questions and getting you guys info. I will record this I did record this as well, so I'll post the link. And I hope you guys at least got some information and answers to some questions tonight. We enjoyed chatting with you. Night all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.